on here and you fast talk us, like a car salesman, and tell us that what we see is not what we're seeing. You try to tell us that what is being happening to us is not being happening to us. That makes you a fraud, in my opinion, sir. I would ask you to take one moment and think about whatever the argument is that you're making. Please recognize that argument will affect your daughter and your daughter's daughter. You will take from them the rights and privileges that have been given to them.
All right, thank you. Oh, that's pretty done. Sorry, George, Mom.
I'm saying you're voting for things that will take away the rights and privileges from those women. But also, I would assume that you have a wife. And part of the AB healthcare is when women, even late in life, when they get pregnant, if something goes wrong and the body does not rid itself of that fetus, you have to walk around with that in you. That's how women get sepsis. Sepsis causes your organs to collapse and you pass away. You're voting for legislation and approving opinions that will put your wife in danger. How does that make you an adequate protector and provider, sir?
Go ahead, Brooklyn, if you would like to respond, and we'll go to John, and we'll go to Yanni. Brooklyn, you're on mute if you're speaking.
Excuse me, I'm going to pass only because I'm eating a cracker. You can go to John. I'll come back.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Brooklyn. All right, we'll go to John.
Smitty, I'm not going to take up space long today. I just wanted to come up and say Happy Mother's Day to all the women. And I do want to make a comment about this because I've been wanting to the last couple of times that you did this. Mm-hmm. You notice how there's only 219 people here today, and it's been like this every time you do a live like this. Meanwhile, you do a Hantavirus live and there's 1,000 people in your room. I don't think that's suppression. I think that's lack of care for women, period. I don't believe the United States values women. I believe not only are they not valued, I think we degrade women. We treat them like garbage. 92% of violent crime is committed by men, not women. To this man's point, and to even further Carolina's point, I was looking at statistics. You know how I am about statistics. In 2023, there were 18.6 mothers per 100,000 live births that passed away unalived. That was a decline from the year before, which was 22.3. But if you look at women of color, it goes up to 50.3. That's 3 times the amount. 3 times the amount. That's disgusting. Not to mention his claim about 1 million ABs a year. So many different things are classified as AB. That's not women going down and just getting an AB. Like, you can't classify all ABs as ABs. So I'm for forced vasectomy. They're forced birth. I'm for forced vasectomy. I liked what Jordan's mom had to say. Every single sperm is the possibility of life. And vasectomies can be reversed. Right? Hysterectomies can't be reversed. Vasectomies can be reversed. So why don't we have men get vasectomies the moment that we hit puberty? And then if we want to have kids, we can either freeze sperm or we can reverse the vasectomy later. But then we don't have to worry about or have this argument about regulating and degrading women all over the country. Let's take it to the man, because they're right. The egg can't do nothing without the man's sperm. It can't form on its own. The man has to fertilize it. So it's the man. I also appreciate what Joy said in the comments. I'm ashamed of all men who were born from women. We all have mothers. We don't all have sisters. We don't all have daughters, but we all came from a woman. And the lack of respect for women in the United States, on planet Earth, on this app is disgusting. I will land there. Love you all. Happy Mother's Day to you beautiful women. Have a great day. Smitty, love you.
Smitty, if I could come in real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, Brooklyn, right? And then we'll go to Yana.
Okay, so I want to say this, right? So pregnancy only occurs, 3 things must take place, right? The sperm must fertilize the egg, right? And then the egg must implant to have a pregnancy. My issue with the AB is a moral question. It's not a legal question. Secondly, while I do believe that the United States, I think all people value women, they don't get the recognition or the respect they deserve. So I'll agree with that point.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Brooklyn. All right. We're going to go to Yanni. Yanni, what are your thoughts? Do you think that the United States values women?
I think, yes, we're valued, but imperfectly. And what I mean by that is, yeah, we still have the right to vote. And, we have these laws against workplace discrimination, things of that nature. We're seeing more of us in leadership and government. But however, there are still, ongoing problems that we have to deal with. I mean, like pay gaps in certain industries and some of us, or most of us, we get underrepresentation in leadership roles. I mean, gender-based violence, things like that. Unequal expectations around caregiving and labor. Matter of fact, I just had a colleague. She's in a completely different field I am. She was expected to still show up to work, even though she was in her early stages of pregnancy. I think that's one of those crazy things. And I just thought that was completely insane. But overall, I say we're valued, but we're just valued imperfectly. There are still things as a society we need to work on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Yana. I think there's a couple of people that disagree somewhat, I think, with that take.
Yeah, I expect a lot of people that disagree.
Let me go to Brooklyn says I agree wholeheartedly. Nichelle, did you want to say something? And then I'll drop down to Carolina and Declan.
Oh my gosh. How are we valued? What are examples of how we're valued?
So when I say yes, we're valued in the United States, but imperfectly, what I mean is legally, yes, we have formal rights and protections, the same ones that we've worked for and got to, and we should be proud of those. But socially and economically, I think we have significant progress from the past, but there are still things we need to work on as a society. So, like I said, as a whole and legally, yes, but socially and economically, no.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm just going to say I fundamentally disagree with that. No disrespect, no shade, but there are too many examples of even legally how we're not valued at all. And every single solitary day that MAGA walks and breathes, I've literally watched posts where they're wanting to roll back the rights for women to vote. And before anybody says, oh, that'll never happen. Well, I didn't think Roe v. Wade would be rolled back either. I didn't think that my daughter would have less rights than I did at her age. So before anybody says, oh, they're not going to roll back, the rights for women to vote. No, there are conservative Christian nationalists who don't believe that women should vote. They believe that men should be the head of household. And so I would also argue, again, looking at how the e-files have been handled, again, legally, I don't think we have protections there at all. So yeah, that's my part. I fundamentally disagree with that across the board, whether social or legally. We're not protected at all. I don't feel protected at all. I know my daughter doesn't feel protected.
So you don't have the right to vote?
I do have the right to vote, but I'm not going to.
Okay. And when you have workplace discrimination, do you not have the right to go to court and talk about those things?
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring that
up. Yeah, so
I do.
Protected
no,
legally.
Hold on. No, I'm not protected legally. You can't pick one or two things and say, oh, women are valued across the board because I have.
I've not stated that. I'm not saying that the men are right and I'm not saying that the women are wrong. What I'm saying is, yes, as a society, we say we are valued, but there are things that we still need to work on. I've made that very clear. One thing for me, I know we definitely need to work on is pay gaps in industries. I work in an industry where it's mostly male dominated, and I think I have twice the experience as my superiors or people who are in the exact same field as me. And yet I still only make the base rate. I'm not going to say, pay because I don't want to get into that. But I still make base rate, whereas my superior makes, unfortunately, 3 times as me because he's a man.
how you value.
I hear
Okay.
everything
All
that you're
right.
saying, and I'm not trying to be argumentative, and I'm certainly not going to go back and forth with you. I mean, I said what I said, and I believe what I believe, and you believe what you believe. But if you're going to sit here and say, though, I am going to push back when you say legally, just because, at your example, just because I have the right to go and make a claim if there's discrimination in the workplace, that does not mean that I'm going to be treated equally in that claim. And we can show example after example after example. Women had the right to go before their accusers with the e-files, and we've seen exactly how they've been treated. Horribly, by the way. So it doesn't need to be a discussion back and forth. I said what I said. I don't believe that we're treated equally, especially in the legal space. And you can point to all the DV claims and the SA claims and how those end up being adjudicated or being judged. 1,000%. There's not enough time to talk about how those cases ended up. Did those women have a right to go before a judge and file a claim? Of course they did. But look at how they turned out. And again, that's not for a response back and forth. Again, I said what I said.
All right,
Okay.
and that's your opinion. We think two differently things.
Okay. Let me I think Carolina also wanted to weigh in. George, give me one second. I think Carolina wants to come in.
So I absolutely want to weigh in, but I do want justice for James because he stated in the comments he had something to say, and I don't want him to lose what he wanted to say. So he can go, and then I'll go after him.
Okay, go ahead, James.
No, Carolina, it's Mother's Day, and and so I want you to go first, and then I'll talk to the other mother that keeps passing me over.
Oh, my God. Okay.
Are you talking about me?
No, he's talking about Smitty.
My God, today.
Oh, 911. He got us murdered.
What are we going to do now? Okay, let me shut up. Let me stop. Go ahead on, James.
You're good. So, I would argue, I agree with everything Nichelle just stated, and I would argue that everything that you gave an example of, Yana, is an example of how we are not valued. And that's what it is. It's not about individuals valuing women, or the fact that we even had to fight for these specific rights. That shows that the United States inherently doesn't value women. They had to be told, hey, by the way, women should be equal to men. Just the same way they had to be told that Black and Indigenous people were equal to white people. They had to be told that you have to adhere to what's in your Constitution, that people are created equal. But even since we have gained those rights, we have still had an attack on those rights. It's never stopped, to the point where now, even with the SAVE Act, it's attacking women, right? We have the issue of losing Roe v. Wade. We have the issue of where they have done nothing to alleviate the wage gap. And just like Nichelle stated, how do those cases end up when people actually bring them forward? Additionally, it rarely ever even gets to that level. Oftentimes, women are still losing their jobs for speaking up about harassment or about being overlooked in the workplace for roles that they should have. We wouldn't have seen the disrespect to a Supreme Court justice, a presidential candidate running for president. We wouldn't see that happening to the level it did. And even with the presidential race, right? People can make their arguments about where they land on either side of the aisle. The comments that were made about Kamala Harris about not being qualified when she's probably the most qualified candidate to run for office, and the fact that we have a man who has not been qualified to run a car lot, a used car lot, who actually won. The rhetoric around how we treat women in those instances shows that the United States does not value women. We even have people who were on the side of voting for her making comments about saying that she slept her way to the top. And I don't want to make it only about her. I'm just saying that's a high profile incident of how we can just determine that the United States does not value women. I talked about the maternal mortality rates for Black and Indigenous women. I've talked about the MMIW crisis for Indigenous women. There is no justice for us when we even seek that. So even by your own examples, the proof of how those end up and the fact that we are having those rights eroded as we speak is evidence that the United States does not value women.
Let me ask you a question, Carolina, to what Yana was saying. It sounds like she's saying it's a work in progress, that the United States values women, but it's a work in progress.
It's a work in progress for 250 years, Smitty. It's a work in, that's the slowest progress I've ever seen. That's not progress. Like, no, especially when we're going backwards. I love when Nichelle brings up the fact that, because, I'm not a mother of daughters, I'm a mother of grown men, so they have more rights than I do. But when Nichelle brings up the fact that she had more rights growing up than her own daughter does, that is evidence that we're going backwards. That's not progress. That's regress. Like, no, I'm not buying that. Sorry.
Okay. Yana, go ahead if you want to respond, and then I want to let James come in, or else. But go ahead, Yana, if you want to respond. Oh, did she drop? Oh, that's too bad. All right. James, go ahead.
I mean, listen, first of all, access to a process does not itself make fairness. Right? So access to the right to complain does not, or some legal remedy prescribed by law does not on its face give access to the remedy. Moreover, while the U.S. is 50...
Victoria. Thank you, fam. Oh, my bad. You were speaking. Go ahead.
You want me to get him? James? Because he on one today. He on one today.
He must have forgot. He must have forgot how I was yesterday when I was up.
Right. I'm trying to be quiet too.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to help the brother out.
My bad. I'm going on mute.
So to just agree with my good sister Carolina. I want to name very carefully, like, access to a process or a legal remedy does not itself cure the deficiency. But moreover, you need only look at what the percent of population is versus the percent of representation. So Article 3 judges are appointed by the president for a lifetime term. While women make up the majority of the population to, like, I think 51-49 versus 49%, we know from the ABA that they only make up about 35 to 38% of the federal appointed judiciary in Article 3. And so that access is curtailed to them. But, if I look at legal remedies across history, I know that the constitutional right to vote passed for Black people, and it took 95 years for the Voting Rights Act to happen because people still were not allowed to vote. So access to a legal remedy does not itself invoke fairness. It just means that there's a legal remedy, and you're at the whims of the judge or adjudicator here in the case. And so I just kind of want to know that. Note that. And then I see Jesse and company talking about your name, Carolina. And I just want to say to the chat, me and Carolina have an understanding.
We do.
And she and I, thank you. So tend to y'all's grown business on this Sunday, because I'm already in a bad mood. Don't make
James
me check
is the only person who's allowed to mispronounce my name.
That's hilarious.
I'm very familiar with how to pronounce it. I'm coming off the flu. Don't have me to check y'all like I was doing yesterday.
Special shout out to Swan. Good morning, fam. So good to see you. Thank you for being here.
And Smitty, you interrupted me again. I'm on a rampage. Before I give up the time, because I'm gonna drop and let another woman come up, Smitty. Okay. Two things. One, if you haven't gifted the beautiful women on this panel, I want to strongly encourage you to do that. I know Smitty's gonna say it too, but I want to steal his thunder since he always steals mine when it's my turn to talk. So gift Nichelle and Carolina. Make sure you give them gifts now. Make Swan too. I mean, I don't know. She's been acting funny, but Swan too, I guess. And then I also want you to strongly. No, I got to mess with Swan. I love Swan. In addition to that, make sure you're tapping that screen, sharing the live out for our good friend Smitty, because of all of the amazing work he does and in elevating every single group of people. And while this isn't his particular Mother's Day, he is a mother too. I will share later with you the kind that he is, because today is for the other kinds of mothers. And so I'm going to drop now because...
Thank you, Sam. All right, bro. Love you. Appreciate you, man.
Love you. Bye.
All right. Bye. All right. Let me go to, okay. Hold on, y'all. Orc is in the house. How you doing, fam? Good to see you. Caress is in the house. Good to see you, fam. And so I apologize for those who I've missed who have all come in as well. So thank you. All right, I think it's Brooklyn's turn, and then we got Jermaine, and then Swan, and obviously Yana. If someone responds to you, of course, I'll give you an opportunity to respond as well. All right, go ahead, Brooklyn. From what you've heard, do you more so align with what Yana said? By the way,
I do in the sense. Let me just make it clear. I'm a wannabe feminist, right? However, I believe that feminism is on a spectrum. Now, I believe that women are underrepresented, right? Especially in the legal and the political field, right? Women, for the most part, make much, much better attorneys and much, much better lawyers. They simply do. But yet they are certainly, there's a huge disparity in that field and with politics. You know, Hillary Clinton had an opportunity to win the White House. However, the voters of this country decided that was not to be. Now, when it comes to Kamala Harris, I don't think that she lost that election, one, because she was a woman, and two, because of the color of her skin. I believe that people would have voted for a golf ball, right? Because of her progressive leftist ideas. So there's obviously a problem. There's definitely a problem when it comes to appreciating and better representing women in this country. There's no question about it. I'm not denying that, right? So I think that's where the problem lies. And where do we, in my opinion, that's the starting point. Not the fact, okay, you know what, you're a woman and therefore you are just oppressed, right?
Thank you, Pam. Okay. All right, Brooklyn. All right. Nichelle, you want another round? I know you got in with had a conversation with Yana, but I'll give you another round. Thank you so much, Victoria. Thank y'all, Daisy. Thank you, Swan. Everybody that's helping hit that gift goal so quickly. I appreciate y'all. Nichelle, you want another round?
Yeah, thank you to all the gifts. Y'all are super sweet. It's just challenging for me, Smitty, to listen to mansplaining about what it's like to be a woman in the United States of America. And listen, you can still be a woman and have an opposing view that I would fundamentally disagree with. But again, there are so many examples. There's just too many examples to list. No matter the sector, whether you're talking about economically, whether you're talking about social norms, whether you're talking about politically, whether you're talking about legally, it doesn't matter. There's too many examples of showing where if anybody wants to say, I do believe that women are valued in the United States of America. And then I'm gonna bring it back to what my sis Carolina said. What examples do you have? And hopefully they stand up, because we're going to push back on that. And again, I'm also, as a Black woman, going to make sure for me, focus on, Black women in America. What did Malcolm X say? The most disrespected person ever in the United States of America is a Black woman. So even in the hierarchy of when we're talking about whether or not women are or are not valued, Black women, unfortunately, go to the bottom of that every single solitary time. We've seen that witnessed in the other lives that you did, Smitty. The chat went crazy when myself and a couple other Black women were bringing up the fact that, there's a hierarchy even with white women and how white women support the patriarchy. And the chat got very, very offended by that, right? Some people got it and understood what we were saying, but a lot of people took great offense to that. But again, I bring receipts. So And again, I live in a Black woman's body all day, every day. So that's my point on that.
Okay. All right, Jermaine, go ahead. Then we'll go to Yana, and then we'll go to Swan. Jermaine, you're on mute. All right.
Hey, I'm here. Hi, it's me. Hey.
Okay.
Sorry. Hey, good morning, y'all. First off, happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, Carolina, Nichelle, Swan, to all the amazing motherly Black women out there in the world, Black and brown women. Of course, the United States does not. I think Nichelle made a comment earlier. I think it was about like conservatives. How they're very they're anti-women, right? But I do want to make a point. It is not just them. As well. I think as far as like a cultural aspect, when we look at so-called, men who are, let's say, on the liberal side, on the left, I think there's a huge problem with them not valuing women. Like some men believe like, hey, just because, you're voting Democrat or you're voting left policies, but a lot of these men still have this patriarchal, and anti-women's kind of mindset. And whether it's from religious men or non-religious men, especially if like, I always say you didn't really find out a lot about a man when it comes to maybe like certain various topics, whether it's just women enjoying themselves, women having fun, enjoying themselves on their own accord, without being judged, or whether they're wearing or having a good time. I always say when women are having fun, men turn into Republicans. Men tend to do that. And I think it is not just, I think it's more so on the left of the cultural standpoint too as well. Like they feel like they're threatened, by women, being free and feeling, hey, I don't care what you say about me. I don't care about your judgment. I'm still going to do what I do. So yeah, I do want to make that point. Like it's two sides of the barrier that women face here, right? Not just Republicans, attacking women's rights and their basic human rights, but also on the left side too as well. Cause even like a lot of times myself, I have to check myself too. Right. And I'm still learning because even in I'm still young, by the way, I'm only 33, but in my younger 20s, my college years, I was really I was really misogynist, man. I bonded over like, sexualizing women, objectifying them. Right. So that's a point where men still do today. And even now it's maybe like when I'm out with my friends or whatever, I run into other guys and they try to bond with me over like talking about women, like whether they're what they're wearing or like, oh yeah, this HOE, she bad. And I'd be like, bruh, I don't really want to talk about that. Like men tend to bond and develop friendships, I feel like today over being anti-women, right? Or homophobia. And that's the thing too, I feel like for me has been a hard time making more male friends. And I think that's something that really needs to be addressed too. Even like when it comes to black men tend to bond, to develop friendships or relationships or whatever they try to do over women, being anti-women. I think that's a problem too that's more prevalent and not just Republicans undoing and attacking women's basic, and their human rights. So I think that's a conversation too that really needs to be had, Because I used to get offended, black men, this and that. I'm like, but I'll be like, well, I'm black, so I'm still gonna face. But then I had to look at it from a different lens, from a woman's lens. I think men fail to do that and don't want to do that. But I look with that. So yeah.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that, Jermaine. You're definitely young. I'm double your age. I'm 66, man. I still feel young. Let me go to Yana. Yana, your thoughts, your response.
All right. So to go back to what I was saying, in 2026, if we're talking about value in women, I think in this day and age, yes, we are valued. Now, I'm not saying we're perfectly valued. Like we have all the access to things, but from where we first started and where we came, and you worded it perfectly earlier, that saying it's a work in progress. It is a work in progress. I don't think this is just us being perfectly valued in this day and age. There are a lot of things we need to work on. I made that very clear. I don't know why people are still a bit confused on that, but compared to where we came from with no rights at all, I think so. We are valued now. Socially and economically, I still don't think we have all the value that we should and things that we do need. There are a lot of things I think we need to work on as a whole. And we can bring politics into it about, Kamala Harris being votes, running for president and all that. But it's not to get into politics. I don't even like getting into politics because between the two parties, they both are evil. We're just picking which one is the lesser evil. So I really stand on the fence about that. But as of 2026, we're valued. We just aren't going to have, it is a work in progress. We're not going to get everything that fast. It's going to take years and years, and it's going to take a lot of repenting. It's going to take a lot of protesting and going back against the government. Like, I just don't think me saying that is the issue. We are valued, just imperfectly.
Okay.
The definition, real quick, I'm so sorry to interrupt. The definition of valued means someone or something that is highly esteemed, treasured, or considered very important. key aspects of valued, esteemed, or
Definition of value.
I wasn't talking to you. I didn't even address you. I'm just for the chat, letting people know what that prompt means. Esteemed or respected, held in high regard, as in a valued employee, treasured or precious, cherished or highly appreciated, appraised and assessed, used to describe items whose monetary worth has been determined. Just thought I'd drop that in there. That's what valued means.
Hi, I just wanted to
Okay.
say, I don't know if I'm going to talk. I'm
Oh,
Rosalind.
real quick. I'm so sorry. I'm going to bring you in 1 second. Let me just get Swan and Fang, and then so you'll be number 3. I just want to get you, but I definitely get you in, Rosalind, in 1 second. Okay. Let me get Swan's thought to what you've heard, and then we'll go Fang and then Rosalind. We're talking about, does the United States value women? What do you think, Swan?
Absolutely not. So I think the first thing I'll say is I often hear men doing this. Jermaine, I did not hear you do this. I want to make that very clear. Smitty, I don't be hearing you do this either. That's it. I'm only speaking for them too. That's it. But a lot of times I think men tend to come into these situations and they are thinking that they have to save the day and that they need to help women. We don't need you to do that. You can't do that for us. Y'all got to help yourselves. Y'all got to help yourselves. You don't need to be no feminist. You need to deconstruct patriarchy. You need to get your mental health together. You need to understand what's important about community. You need to disengage from the patriarchy. You need to understand that when you work on these things, that this is not just about you having a romantic relationship. This is about you being a better father, a better brother, a better uncle, a better grandfather. This is about you understanding the importance of having community, right? We literally had Steve Bannon and many others create this atmosphere online. This started over a decade ago. And it's quite literally radicalized men to hate women, hate us. If we say no, they hate us for that. If we ignore them, they hate us for that, right? If we need them, they hate us for that. They hate us for everything. Women's bodies are legislated. It's a no-brainer. You cannot sit here and tell me that we live in a country where women are valued when we don't have the autonomy to make choices over our own body. That it just doesn't. When that was overturned, I was like, oh, things are about to hit the fan. I think that's when Black women noticed things, our liberties, our civil liberties were going to be stripped from us. That's when we first noticed it. In addition to that, though, I do want to say, and I also want to say that I rarely see, I think Jermaine kind of touched on this, but I rarely see men in community with each other in a healthy way, right? Not them coming together to perform masculinity for each other, but them creating bonds that are genuine, right? Men that have taken the time to go on the path of deconstructing, which is lifelong, by the way, they tend to have they tend to look healthier. They tend to sound healthier and happier. They have better relationships at work, at home, you know, with their social life, all of those things. I also want people to understand too, it's kind of like when we talk about racism, right? Like, I just want to emphasize this. When white people are like, oh, you want to help the Black community? Help me how? You enslaved us. You put us through segregation. All you know is how to abuse us. You've got to go help yourselves, right? Patriarchy, misogyny, and misogynoir, that's a problem that men have that affects women, right? Y'all got to help yourselves. We don't need you to help us. I also think that we have to remember too, because I hear this often with politics, right? First of all, let's just remember that Republicans who are denouncing Trump are still Republicans. I just want to say that. They just don't want a fascist, but they're still Republicans, okay? They're still conservative, not beneficial to Black people or marginalized communities in any way, shape, or form. But also understanding that when we talk about something like this, we got to separate politics from the journey of deconstructing, right? Developing your political ideology is easy for most people, right? You figure out what it is that you want, what you see wrong in society, and you come up with plans that you think would be, you know, suitable. That's easy. But challenging yourself and how you have, right, been conditioned and socialized, that's a much more difficult journey. And it has to start with yourself, right? So just because a man is on the left, it doesn't mean that he's not misogynistic, right? There's a content creator. I'm not gonna say no names. But he gets on every single day and he yells at men and reinforces patriarchy and misogyny and misogynoir while he does it. He thinks that he's doing something. And women, unfortunately, and I'm not going to blame them for this at all, but this is just an observation. I think there's a therapeutic release when we see a man go at another man in defense of women. But that's not what we need. We need you to be deconstructing on your own, checking in with yourself and taking care of your mental health, right? And then you've got to do that for others as well. I think one thing that I've noticed, right, is that like a lot of times, like this is how like men don't want to become vulnerable around women. They don't want to be vulnerable around women because there's this fear that it's going to be thrown back into their face, right? I know for me, and being vulnerable is difficult for a lot of people. It is. But I think that just knowing that, like just hearing that coming from men, them saying that they can never be vulnerable with their partner, which is important. Men have to be able to have a partner that they can trust, that they can confide in, who's not going to throw it back in their face. But the fear of that, right? Because that part of them, like when they're socialized in society, because that part of them isn't necessarily something that's worked on or encouraged, because it's discouraged, right? I think it makes it very difficult for them to find the courage, I guess, to be willing to be vulnerable, and then also not worrying about it later on, right? I know that there are people that I can be vulnerable with. I can open up to them, and I don't have to worry about it being thrown in my face later on. But they don't even do it just out of fear. You know what I mean? So I think there's a lot to unpack in society. But for me, I think the biggest thing is that men really do need to take care of themselves. Like, I think that that's so important. They need to figure it out for themselves, but take care of themselves. Focus on being a better you, being happier and being healthier. And I promise you, all of your relationships will improve with your family.
Thank you, Swan. Let me skip the order a little bit. Let me go to Rosalind first and then Fang. So Rosalind, what are your thoughts? How do you feel? Does the United States value women? Then Fang, I'll come to you next.
Real quick, of course they do not. I would agree with the person earlier that was saying that I do recognize the fact that like we went from like no rights to some rights, but if you don't even have autonomy over your own body, then clearly the United States does not value women when we can't even make decisions about our own health. That is insanely crazy. And I challenge anyone who says that we are valued based off of the misogynistic, patriarchal, payment, our wage rate compared to our male counterparts. And then I'm a black woman. So when you start dissecting it down to like compared to your Caucasian, female counterpart versus the Latino counterpart, when you start breaking down, black and brown women's actual wages compared to their white female counterparts, it's just ridiculous. What I did want to say is I wanted to applaud the brother that was on earlier that was saying that, hey, before we get into the whole Democrat Republican thing, like just black men in general, because I'm black first, right? I'm black. That doesn't change. And so I've lived in, like this young lady said earlier, I'm in a black woman's body. And so I think I have to give him so much self-awareness credit to be 30 something years old and just to understand like, hey, there's a culture that has been created to me in the last like 20 years. I know I look like a whole snack, but I'm 49. And there's been a culture, this podcast culture that has happened, like the young person said with the whole Stephen Bannon, all that. That's kind of like culture, American culture. Then there's like the subculture of that podcast black culture where they have literally made their platform just dogging out black women and what's wrong with black women. And that's not to say that in our community we don't have our own issues, right? Like black love and black relationships and all that. We have a subset of issues that are very unique to the black community and the black experience. But you also have to understand we're just out of slavery, like 400 years. Like there's a lot to unpack with that. And then the last young lady that spoke that was talking about how like men just take care of yourselves and that ultimately will take care of everything else. I agree and disagree with that as far as like you can't help me. I'm okay with a very self-aware, evolved, like the young man that just spoke who may not have it all together, but he's got it. And so like, to me, those are real allies where they're like, hey, I can't really even make male relationships because their whole basis of my friendship is dogging out women or black women or just whatever. Like, to me, that's very self-aware. And there's a lot more of those young people, I think, that are cropping up or popping up, or just people in general that are getting it like, oh, wow, this is not proper. This is not appropriate. So I do think that like people like that that young man can help the cause for women in general, Black women and all that. But I do think she's right that like you got to kind of take care of your own house first. You kind of have to deconstruct first. And that deconstruction is going to take a lot. Now, what I will say, speaking for the Black community, of what I've seen is it's kind of like when America catches a cold, Black folks catch the flu, right? And so it's kind of one of those things with the same thing with women. And, you know, we understand that the patriarchy, because white men don't respect their women, period. Like it's a subservient, you know, proximity to power type situation. And so Black women have never really had that. And then you can go to the whole, like in this, you know, with the whole welfare and this, the breakdown of the Black family and white supremacy and why they want to break down the Black family, not to belabor all of that. But I think that there's like threefold. The first thing is the Black community understanding and being aware of like the deconstruction of our family has always been the goal of white supremacy and of America. And women were the role change to kind of like that whole strong Black woman thing out of survival is a real deal. But they also understood that to deconstruct the family would be to kind of like take the men out and feminize the men. This is no shade, to make the men not be the head, just all the things that what people would consider a traditional family or household. And I think that it's worked, you know, coming out of slavery and having like this broken type of situation that no one else has had. And so I think sometimes it's unfair in the Black community when they talk about the issues with Black men and Black women, because we have a very unique experience that most Americans don't necessarily have. And we've been under a subjective type of, discrimination, whatever word you want to put in there, that's very unique, right? Unlike any other subset group of a population. So I think just when we're talking about Black women, I just think that it's just completely, you know, this is very unique or whatever. But no, I don't think that the United States values us. So hopefully I wasn't rambling.
No, I appreciate that very thorough response. Swan, I know wants to respond to one thing you said, and then Fang, I'm coming to you next. Go, Swan.
Yeah, I think I should have maybe emphasized this more. It's a societal issue. It's a systemic issue as well, right? Like when we talk about patriarchy. So I think it's important to like, yes, we know that there are men that are working on themselves and that's important, but we do need to focus on seeing changes overall as a society, right? Listen, we didn't start off this year too great with the Black femicide rate. We did not start this year off too great with the Black femicide rate. And that is something that has got to change, right? So I think when we start to see the material conditions of women that are impacted by, like the parts that are impacted by patriarchy, misogyny, misogynoir, when we see improvements there, then I think we can, you know, we can have more of a deeper discussion. But I do want to emphasize that this is definitely a systemic issue, which is why you saw red pill and black pill spread so quickly, right? Charlie Kirk unalived, and it seemed like he had a bunch of minions that just came out of the woodworks ready to, you know, spew everything out that he was talking about. Same with Kevin Samuels. They were upset when that man unalived, and all he did was tell him to go, you know, go get a job, go clean your room, and go to work, you know. But I just wanted to emphasize that we do have to look at it as a systemic issue as well. But yeah, that's it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Fang, go ahead. Your thoughts as the United States value women. And we're going to drop down to Catalina. We're just going to go straight to the panel, make it easy. I have a couple of questions for the panel. I'll try to interject them when it's your turn. But let's definitely try to go to 2 minutes because I do got to go here in about an hour. But this discussion is, woo! I'm telling you, please tap the screen, y'all. Share out the live. This is very important. And we'll continue the discussion.
I appreciate you, man. On a Mother's Day, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. I say happy Mother's Day to my mother in heaven. She gave me everything that I needed to survive in this world, and I just want to honor her. I want to make sure I understand the United States values women. Or does the United States values women? I emphasize the question, the United States. And I do emphasize that because the states are the ones that have the ability to actually make sure that the masses don't believe that we do value women. And so state by state, we have watched women who have had to try and leave their state to provide the care necessary to make sure that they can live past another day, because a woman who would have voted against people having their rights needed help in Texas to get out of that state, and was told that she would be put into jail if she returned to that state. So that doesn't value that woman's life. That doesn't value her children's lives. And so that it directly shows that that's not the case, that we value women in these United States. As someone stated before, Kevin Samuels was a part of the Blagosphere that made sure that Black men in general believed that they were the reason that the Black family was either failing or winning. And so that actually takes away the ability for a woman to be seen within the unity of the community as an equal partner or on the same playing field, that we either rise or fall with male dominance. These are things that you...
Oh, Fang, we lost you.
For the rest of us, Smitty, it's showing that he's on due time. And, there's his timer. There he goes. Okay.
That's okay. I don't know nobody but from Texas, but they keep calling me. So I just want to make sure that I just get out the fact that on top of legislation, on top of the mood of the country, which is influenced by the Blaga manosphere, we are in a situation where too many masses believe that it is, if it's male, it's right. If it's women, sit tight. You sit by and see what your man leads you to, because that's the Christian nationalism that's being pushed as well by the administration and by a lot of people who want to subjugate women. So I appreciate you, and I'm going to go on mute.
Okay. Thank you, Fang. I appreciate you. All right. We're going to drop down to Carolina. Carolina, anything you want to talk about that you've heard? I don't have a question for you yet, but I'm sure I will here in a minute.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask if you had a question, but no, like everything that Swan just said, and like when she was talking about the part about like how men hate us, I think that's really important, because even when they quote unquote love us, they hate us.
And then even how they've changed over time, you know, individuals within the relationship as well, because you are gonna move differently when you're out and about on your own, but you're still married, you know. So I just say that to say, like, I think that is something that we should really focus on, right? We don't have to force ourselves into this cookie cutter idea of what we think, you know, masculinity and femininity is. And then the other thing I was gonna say, I'm throwing a little bit of shade for my time ends. White women, y'all not oppressed. Y'all in a power struggle with white men. If you are marginalized on the basis of your sexuality, disability, or anything along those lines, then yes, you are marginalized, but y'all not oppressed. If you don't believe me, read They Were Her Property. White women are in a power struggle with white men. That's why they always lean into their whiteness and choose their whiteness over choosing their womanhood.
Thank you, Swan. I appreciate that. Yana, do you agree with the phrase "it's all men"? What do you think about that?
Oh wait, give me 1 second. Hold on.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna come back. Right. Give me 1 second, okay?
Okay. Let me go to Jermaine then. Jermaine, I'll give you a quick minute, and then Yana will come back to you. Go ahead, Jermaine. What do you think? You agree with the phrase "it's all men"?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. When women say all men or just men are, you know, terrible, you know what I do, Smitty? I say nothing and I listen. I do not feel offended, because I feel like the old phrase of, you know, a hit dog will holler, right? If you feel offended, if you feel offended, you're gonna try to push back against it. So when women say, when they are generalizing me, and I know what they mean when they say that, you know, but I say nothing and I listen. Smitty, I do want to be a little more vulnerable, because I feel like it's a space where I can be. You know, I was raised by a single mom, right? I was raised by women. I was raised by my mom, my grandma, my aunt. So, you know, lower income family here in the city. And so my dad was in and out because he battled alcohol addiction. And my dad moved to Cali when I was a kid. So, Smitty, you know, I grew up because my mom, my folks, you know, they faced survival. They was just trying to survive, right? My mom working on lower income, you know, she was just trying to survive. And I didn't get my emotional needs met as a kid. And that was nothing to do with my mom or whatnot. That's more so I feel like my father for not being there. So And for me, that affected me growing up, even like sometimes still this day, Smitty. Like I've been in a relationship since December, dating since October on a lovely woman who I adore very much.
Nice.
And it was very like turbulence in the beginning because she's a great woman, and Smitty, it triggered me. It triggered me because I wasn't really there yet. And I'm still not there, but I'm working there, right? So it is like, this is an amazing woman, but yeah, I feel triggered because she is so emotionally just in-depth and mature and smart. And for me, I'm low-key, I'm still trying to give her what I really never got growing up. And I tell my therapist this, right? And so I know I'm quick on a timer, but I wanted to expand a little more, but I can come back to it. But
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a very interesting topic you broached. So we'll definitely try to come back to it. Yana, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. No, you good. What do you think? Do you believe in the phrase "it's all men"? What do you think?
Oh man, I don't like that phrase. For me,
Okay.
I don't like
Talk to me.
I don't like it because it gives a man too much. It gives too much credit to men in the sense that they are dominating this space, that they're controlling these things. I don't like that. I really don't like when we say it's all men or this is a man thing, or I don't like those. I don't like phrases like that because it downplays women who are dominating fields, who are in fields that are dominating men and outdoing them. Sorry, I'm gonna ignore the comments. My bad. I'm sorry. But yeah, I just don't like phrases like that. I think we need to take those phrases away and because there can be men in spaces that have been male dominated and that can outperform and outdo these men. I don't like when we use terms like that. I just don't like terms like that. I hate terms where it's downgrading an opposite gender or anything like that. Women have the same capability as men to outperform them in their own spaces. And saying things like, oh, it's all men, or that's a man thing, that's giving them too much credit because you can do the same. I feel like that's downplaying your worth, what you can do, what women who have done can do. Like, I don't really like those type of terms.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, let me kick it down. So it's Carolina's turn. What do you think about that, Carolina, in terms of do you feel like the phrase "it's all men" gives men too much power? What do you think?
So I don't think you're understanding the phrase, because the phrase is "it's all men." It's not saying it's only men. Like, if they were saying it's only men, I would understand why you responded the way you did, I guess, a little bit, kind of, not too much. But I don't understand, because the phrase "it's all men" is not talking about, because we know that women are complicit in the patriarchy. We know that women are complicit in all of this. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about it's all men. It's the same thing like when we talk about white people, right? And then sure enough, there will be white people who come and say the same thing that Smitty's saying, that men are saying in his DMs. Saying the stuff like, well, it's not all of us, and what can I do to help, and what can I do to help? Work on your shit over there. Don't involve us. Don't ask us. Fix your demographic. And so that's what they're saying by "it's all men." So, and then the thing about like giving them too much power, we're not giving them power. They have taken power for themselves. Like, I don't want us to be obtuse. Obviously, women are more capable than men in a lot of areas. We're able to get the job done. We're able to persevere. We're able to succeed in these different fields, whether it's, in the workplace or other, like, obviously. But where does power reside? That's the question. Acknowledging where power resides is not taking away from what we are capable of. And again, I will liken it to the situation with white people. Obviously, as Black and Indigenous people, I will speak for us specifically, we are more capable than they are in a lot of arenas, right? We've had to go through a lot more. We've had to persevere through so much more, things that they will never be able to fathom. But yet, where does power reside? It still resides with them. And taking it out of the United States, even in Latin American countries where they're the minority, The power still resides with them. So that's where I'm having an issue with that type of response. I feel like it's just trying to kind of get out of it. Like Nichelle said, it's all men until it's not all men. It's all white people until it's not all white people. Like, I don't know how much clearer it really has to be, but it wasn't saying that it's not only, because we've been talking about this. Like Swan brought up the last time we had this topic, the white women were showing their asses in the chat. They were proving our point exactly about how they uphold these power structures and about how they systemically oppress Black and Indigenous women. And they were throwing a fit. So yeah, women are absolutely complacent. So it's not only men, but that was not the statement that was made. So that's where the response just didn't like correlate for me.
Okay. Jan, if you want to interject quickly.
When
and we'll go
people
to
say
Michelle.
the term "it's all men," my first thought is this belongs to men, or this is a male-dominated space, and that men control this. That's where I got that from. That's where I responded the way I did.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that clarification. I appreciate that, Yana. Let me go to Nichelle, and if you know, after Nichelle, maybe I'll well, I feel like Carolina said what I was going to say, but let me go to Nichelle. Nichelle, what do you think? Does it's all men give men too much power?
No, and no, I don't think that. It's interesting again how people are getting triggered by even your question, Smitty. I saw somebody in the chat that said, "So it's all women until it's not all women." I think that's an interesting way to respond to it. I don't think that it gives the phrase or I'm sorry, what?
No, I'm agreeing with you. Go ahead.
Yeah, it kind of threw me off a little bit there. But I think, again, sometimes this weird idea of kind of projecting when we have these conversations, right? It kind of talks about, like what Carolina was just saying, like hit dogs are going to holler, right? Like if it's not for you, then don't worry about it. If it doesn't apply to you, don't worry about it. But no, I don't think that it gives men too much power. I'm not sure who said it. They take that power. It's not about us giving it to them or giving them agency. It's saying, and like Carolina also said, a lot of people are just proving the point by how they're responding, like in the chat, or how they're responding to us. So no, I don't think it gives them too much power at all. The other thing is that I don't know. I think this idea too. I guess this is just human nature. We see the same thing when we're talking about racism, right? We see people wanting to come out and they say things, or they kind of get performative, if you will, trying to prove that they're not the bad one, right? And I don't know. I kind of got that vibe when you mentioned that men are DMing you and saying, "Oh, hey, what's up with that?
Yeah.
I'm a good one." You know what I mean? So I'm not trying to like come down hard on men that are doing that. And I put it in the chat. Listen, I'm going to give a good man his flowers, though. Yeah, I don't have a problem with doing that. But even with me giving you your flowers, like we've said it over, so many women have come and said that, we feel safe here, and we feel respected here. And, you allow, not allow, you give us the opportunity to speak and all those things. I don't mind giving you your flowers. But even with that, it's still all men until it's not all men.
Yeah.
Period. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, absolutely. No. And appreciate all the Peach Raiders coming in. Thank you. Yeah, I guess I when I hear that phrase, and maybe again, this is why it's all men. I hear it in the sense that all men benefit from misogyny and the patriarchy. That's just what I hear, right? We all do benefit. And we all do have blind spots, and we all could never understand all of the nuances of misogyny and what women have to go through. And so, whether it's me or Jermaine or whoever on the spectrum of men, we all got something, or we all are complicit on some level. So when I hear that phrase, to me, it makes sense, because that's how I hear it. But maybe there are nuances that I haven't even thought about. Again, to me, which kind of proves the point of the phrase, right? Like, it's a phrase. Do I think about that phrase all the time? No, right? But I have the luxury to not have to think about it all the time, which again goes back to why I hear the phrase "it's all men." Why it resonates with me. Jermaine, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree, brother. I do like when men, because like again, when women say that, I listen. I listen. I check my ego, and I listen. At first, I used to be like, oh no, you're wrong. I used to look at it through I used to think, well, I'm a black man, so I'm oppressed. But I'm like, I'm looking at it. I'm using my gender and I'm using my race, but I'm not looking through the eyes. I'm not putting on like a women's lens. Like, you don't have to be a woman to understand a woman. I think, and for me, it's just bare minimum shit. But because the bare minimum shit is not happening, right? It feels like a lot. And like, yeah, are you a good man? Like me, so I'm a good man. That's not me. Are you though? Do you speak out against violence against women? Do you volunteer? Do you do anything impactful towards the community where women are harmed? So for me, it's not just having the ideas, but it's also doing like the work. Like, yes, you can yes, I have that mindset, but your actions have to like back it up. Like, do you speak out against domestic violence, right? Do you advocate? Like, do you actually go and, do you defend women, not just online, but also in the space in real life? Right. And I think that's a thing that men tend to do, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get mad. But are you though? Are you? Are you really? Like, do your actions back it up? You know what I'm saying? So, and I think that's the thing that I had to learn. Like, yes, I had the mindset, Smitty, but also I had to put in like the work, and I still am. And again, that's Smitty. I told my dad. I told him a few months ago. I was like, man, you need to apologize to me because my needs weren't met when I was a kid, and that affected how I view women, and that affected even like my relationship because I never got like that that male positive, a healthy male, positive influence in my life, and I think that's lacking in the brothers for real. And whether it's a 2-parent household or 1-parent household, them emotional needs are not being met, and that's the thing. I feel like I had to learn on my own, Smitty. And a lot of men, and I think policy affects that, and also it's still a man's responsibility on his own actions to like, hey, I need to deconstruct too as well and be better. So yes, it's a policy from racial policy, capitalism. We can go back patriarchy, white supremacy, but at the end of the day, Smitty, more than ever, there's more resources and everybody has the will, especially men, to want to do better and deconstruct. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I hear you, man. And I've always said this, and Swan touched on this earlier about, encouraging men to be vulnerable, and that's important, right? In any kind of relationship. But Jermaine, you probably would agree with this, and it'd be interesting to see if the men agree with this too. Most men, even when the subject is on what women want and need, will listen to another man before they listen to a woman, even about that subject. Right? Like, I find that very interesting. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, Yana, if you want to respond. Go ahead, but I find that very interesting. Go ahead.
I do think that is very interesting that most men will, and I see it on a lot of different panels, not to, but I do see that on a lot of different panels. I could be on a panel with a man saying the exact same thing, and because another man said it, he'll take it more. He'll listen to that man more.
Absolutely.
I saw it. I've seen it with my mom starting her own businesses. The black men in that community are willing, in that particular industry, are willing to go work under that white man who's not treating them the exact same way or properly, or even giving them the same opportunities that my mom does. And they're willing to hear it from that white man or from a man, whereas they don't want to hear it from a black woman. And I do understand. And I get what you guys are talking about with the it's all men until it's not all men. I get that now. But that term, to me, I hear things differently. I try to think differently about things. But yeah, that all men thing, it's not all men. I definitely see that is a way to pretty much just shift the blame and shift responsibility from the original pattern and what we're seeing in most men.
Okay. Thank you, Yana. I appreciate that. And I 100% agree with you in regards to on this app when women say things and then men literally, it's happened on this. Y'all seen it, all the people that have been on this platform a lot. I can't even tell you. I've lost count how many times. All I've done, I haven't even said, I just paraphrased something. Like, oh, Swan said this or Nichelle said this. Oh, yeah, okay, I got it now. I'm like, that's crazy to me. It's crazy. It happens so often. That's why I'm saying, like, people are really honest and they sit on these panels and you watch. There's no way you could come away thinking that there isn't a problem with misogyny on this app and in this country. You have to be completely blind to miss it. Swan, I got a question for you. Jermaine, quickly, because I want to go to Swan. And it goes back to what Jermaine said about how he reacted one way when he was a bit younger, and then now he reacts a different way when, women are talking about misogyny and stuff like that. So I was on my way to my sister's house. This was a long time ago, when my views were not where they are now. And she was like, Smitty, and I think she was reading this book, and the book basically said that a black male Christian, well-to-do financially, that person with those characteristics, that person is the white people of black people. How do you feel about that?
I can see why someone would say that.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why I disagree with saying that is because I think it takes away from the fact that there is a level of projection that happens from black men to black women, and even like those that are most vulnerable in our community specifically, to where they project because they cannot reach that same ceiling that white men are going to reach. Mm-hmm. So for me, we can never address that. Like, if they don't disengage with patriarchy, what ends up happening is they still want that dominance. So they will exercise that and project that onto us. And I think that is a different place to be in than a place for white men to be in, if that makes sense. Also, and it's always going to be all men because this is a systemic issue, right? It is always going to be all men because this is a systemic issue. But hear me when I tell you, some of the stuff that these white men do, I don't see coming from non-white men. I'm not going to hold you. Listen, white men are in their own bubble. That's the only group that has not held anything outside of maybe wealth from them, right? They benefit in every way, shape, or form from all of these systems. And being on my platform, y'all already know I'm up at 3 a.m., right? They're coming up to the panel saying and doing the most outrageous things. And I'm just like, yo, what the hell is going on in their households? You cannot sit here and tell me that there's no possible way. I remember my brother had one slip up at school. My dad kicked us all out. I don't know what happened between my dad and him, but I know that he never did it again. I'll just leave it there. But I don't think it's productive to say that, because we do need to talk about the fact that, like, for us, community is so important. So I think, and I do think that we have to talk about intersectionality when we have this discussion. So if black men are not able to achieve what a white man is achieving, and they get angry about that, we have to bear the brunt of that anger. So I don't think it's productive to talk about it in that way, if that makes sense. And then the other thing I wanted to say was, remember when Black Cabinet came up here and he listed all of the women and femme-presenting people that did things during the civil rights movement? Never in my life have I ever heard a man listed out like that from memory, being that invested.
Amazing.
Knowing all of the work that they did. It brought me to tears. It did. It brought me to tears. And I think that kind of like woke me up and was like, there's some more like digging that I need to do for myself in terms of how I value myself. Because black women, and femme-presenting people, we value ourselves. Well, we are valued through our servitude towards others. And this is because of chattel slavery. And it's always been like this. So much so that we truly have been the backbone of every single movement. Every single time there was a movement, but we don't get that recognition. We don't even demand that recognition. I think that we just know what time it is and we know when we have to do what we have to do. But I just wanted to bring that up in addition to what you were to your question, because I was going to say that earlier. That moment will never leave me. I'll never forget that moment. I also miss Black Cabinet, but yeah.
I miss him too. Yeah, no, win Swan for Absolutely. Yes. Completely agree with you. I'm going to bounce around a little bit. I want to go to Nichelle, then Ari, and then Carolina. So Jazzy, my dear sister Jazzy, said in the comments, Black men are indeed the white women of the Black community. Nichelle, do you agree or disagree with that comment?
Wait, what? What was the question? Wait, what? Black men are the what?
Are indeed the white women of the Black community. What do you think? Do you agree or
Oh, I
disagree
thought
with
you
the
said the
comment?
white men of the community.
No. White women.
You said the white women?
White
Oh,
women.
that's a little different.
Oh,
What
Black
do you think?
men are the white women of the
Black
community.
community. The Black community.
I don't know if I can put that on y'all. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Listen, are there examples of that? Maybe, for sure. But as a whole, I would not say that Black men are the white women of the Black community. I would need more clarification of what that even means. Because like Swan just brought up, and I put it in the chat, that was one of the most epic moments on this app. And people were asking who it was. His handle is Black Cabinet, DA space Black Cabinet.
Education. Last word. Here's education. I think it's
Oh
the
yeah,
Black
education.
education.
Yes, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most epic rundowns I have ever heard. I mean, it was truly a magical
Incredible.
moment. You know what I mean?
It was.
So no, I certainly wouldn't say him or you or so many other amazing Black men that we know are the white women of the Black community. Look at how, one band, one sound, and in 2024, well, mostly than any other demographic, we stood together. So no, I would need more clarification on what's the example? What are you trying to say when you say that? I just don't think I should say that.
Okay. All right. Let me go to Ari. Ari, thank you so much, fam, for being here this morning. If you would love to opine is my favorite word on that point that I just brought up, or if you just want to address the topic. And then Carolina, I'm coming to you next.
Yeah, well, good morning, Smitty. Good morning,
Good morning, fam.
For those who don't know, I'm Ari. I'm 28. I'm a womanist. I go by they, she, they pronouns. I believe it's all men till no men, every single one of them. So I fully agree. Because I think not holding Black men accountable, to me, they are no different than white women. It just looks different, right? Especially when we're talking about context to harm to Black women, right? Especially when you read a book, it's called Black on Both Sides, A Racial History on Trans Identity. And it talks about the aspect of gender performance. And it talks specifically, and it quotes, believe it was Frantz Fanon. It quotes in that book in one of his writings, about how Black men's gender performance, right? And how they treated their own mothers, right? So it wasn't even, I wouldn't even say it was a projection. They understood their status as a man and harmed their mothers, right? And recognizing her status. So it was really eye-opening to me on, again, a Black man's engagement in the patriarchy. Also, because I talked to Sean, Watch My Legs, and she also helped my understanding. We have regular conversations on this and how Black men engage in patriarchal harm. And what it gave was a really enlightening example during when Black men were allowed to start becoming educated, right? And so they recognized their mother as a mother, right? Until they went off to school. And then when they came back from school, they understood her for her slave status, the mammy, and the difference between understanding her as the mother or the mammy. And so when they came home from school, they treated her in her slave status, the mammy, right? The difference in interchanging of those languages are very important to the performance of gender and how they view gender. The same way we clock when people say female or woman, and how that speaks towards how men view women when they're using woman and female. The same thing could be said that was quoted. The interchanging between mammy and mother, right? And Moore saw her in her slave status as the mammy and treated her as such, which is very degrading. to have a son treat his mother in that way. Also, what was quoted and recognized is that they recognized white women for the status symbol that they were and tried to strive towards those white women, right? Because they were a trophy, a status symbol. So when we're talking about how Black men treat Black women, I see them no different than white women, right? And for me also, recognizing that 40% of Black women, not those who are DV'd, 40% of the Black women population in the United States, and this is as of the ACLU, have been victims of DV, right? And so for me, what I always hyper focus on is that a lot of times for Black women, we are pushing our own harm aside in the name of Black first. Whenever I hear a Black man say Black first, I cringe. It makes me cringe because a lot of times it's speaking from the place of their racial oppression purely and not acknowledging patriarchal oppression that they participate in. And a lot of times us as Black women, we put that to the side in the name of race first as well. And that has only led to our further harming and the complacency within the patriarchal participation.
Okay. Thank you, fam. I appreciate that. Wow. Woo. Ooh, this live is... I'm telling you, I'm getting the education today. I appreciate all of y'all panelists, especially on Mother's Day. Carolina, your thoughts, and I think it was Jermaine. Actually, let's do this. Carolina, and then Yana, and then Jermaine.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up a really important topic because thank you to the mods who helped me out. This is so... I don't even know what the word is for this. So, I've been talking about, these people from my own community who have been cyber harassing and stalking me and doing all this crazy shit, right? One of them, a native man came in here to troll me a little bit ago and is apparently posting videos of me and wanted people's attention of that. This is an example of what I'm talking about how men in our own communities, but not even just men, women, put women of color at harm, right? And so the issue that has happened with me on this app is I've called out anti-Blackness in my community, saying, hey, when we address misinformation, y'all don't have to be anti-Black, right? Because it's usually the whole pretending conversation. Instead of just either saying, hey, I'll do better, or just ignoring me, there has been a concerted effort for months now for these people to host lives about me, create disgusting AI images of me. And what I find interesting is the women are the ones who are the most obsessive, making content, but the men make the comments about whom I've chosen to procreate with, right? Because I have Afro-Indigenous children. And they have called me a race traitor, and they point that out every time. And they know what MMIW is, right? They know that as Indigenous women, we have this epidemic in our community. So even though, just because they don't like me, they're willing to put me at harm. There's a Native man who has put the picture of the front of my house as his backdrop on a live, has put the picture of where I work on a live, encouraging people to call and make up things about me, all of these things. And this is exactly a prime example of women, especially Black and Indigenous women, don't have allies. Why I hate that fucking word, allies. So they can recognize the harm. They know that it's an issue. They know what that can lead to. And they don't care simply because women like myself are strong enough to stand up and say something is wrong in our community. And so I'm almost kind of glad he did it. It's frustrating me, but it's proving my point in 4K about how they do not protect us. And so that's why I fully stand with what Swan said. I don't need y'all to save us at this point, because you can't even do the bare minimum of protecting us on a surface level. This is disgusting behavior, right? And I didn't want to make that about myself, but I wanted to point that out just because these are the same people that will make content about MMIW. These are the same people who will make content about the racism that we face as Indigenous or Black people. But as soon as a woman tells you that you're in the wrong about something, they fall into that same trope. They fall into those same behaviors as white people do. So I can't speak for the Black community. I'm not going to speak for that, with that question address, but I can say it's definitely the same in my community. Indigenous men are basically the way, but Indigenous women too, because I think that like what's really important to notice before I yield my time is what I always say about how patriarchy, white supremacy, Judeo-Christian faith systems, Abrahamic faith systems, and capitalism are all intrinsically linked, especially in this society. They all uphold each other. So when we as marginalized people lean into any of that shit, we are upholding our own oppression. And so I don't know. Y'all really just be disgusting me on a regular basis sometimes, people in general. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out.
Okay. Thank you, Carolina. Appreciate you. We'll go to Yanni, then Jermaine, then Swan, and then J.E.'s. We'll get you in. We got about 25, 30 minutes or so. Very interesting discussion. Thank y'all for being here. Happy Mother's Day to everybody. Yanni, what would you like to share with us?
I do have a question, and I hope I don't sound crazy when I'm saying this.
Yeah, go for it.
But in the Black community, those who aren't considered Black, why do we exclude them? Like, there are people in this particular community, but I wouldn't say they don't feel accepted by this community. Why don't we accept them? What makes them not be Black? What makes them not be seen as Black? Is it the way they're living? Like, that's just a question. I don't know. Maybe I'm not explaining it right. But
yeah, when you say the community that you're talking about, which can you be more specific? Are you talking about people in the Black diaspora? Are you talking about Black immigrants? Are you talking about when you say they're not seen as Black? What community are you talking about?
Like, for example, how can I say? I was on a different panel. I feel like as Black people, we are. And I use this as a generalization because there's so many different shades, so many different cultures. When it comes to Black, I feel like, why do we exclude those who aren't all the way Black, who aren't, who don't know enough about themselves? Like,
Ask a question. Clarifying question. Sorry, are you talking about biracial people, or are you talking about people that are that claim to be racially categorized as Black but don't have African ancestry?
No, like biracial people. I mean, in a sense, like, why do we exclude those people out? I see not every Black person does it, but I do see a lot of that on this particular app. Like, you being biracial, that doesn't make you Black.
I think so. I think the problem is people. It's just anti-Blackness. If a person who is sometimes there are moments. I will say this. I can acknowledge this. That there are people who are Black biracial, right? That have maybe they're raised by their white parent, or they don't necessarily have a close community to Black people. So when they come into our spaces, they tend to kind of accuse us as othering them when really they may be just othering themselves. But I think that that's something that is more of a discussion pertaining to internalized racism, which would be anti-Blackness, and then also how we're socialized and things like that. I guess if that's what you're talking about, people that are biracial, that's what I would say is the cause of it, is anti-Blackness.
Yeah, that was a good. Yeah, I think that's what I was looking for. That's the answer I think I was going for and looking for. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right. I think Nichelle, did you want to say something really quick, or you want me to go Jermaine and then we'll go to Ari and then we'll get the new panelists worked in?
No, as long as, never mind. I'm
You good?
I'm not going to be
Okay.
canceled today. Nope. Keep my mouth shut. Keep my Black mouth shut.
Okay. All right. Jermaine and then Ari and then new panelists.
Yeah, so you say it was Jazzy that made that comment, Smitty, right?
Yes, about the
yeah. So when she made that comment, I was ready to react. I was like, "Wait, what?"
At least you're being honest.
I was about to say, "It the hell kind of shit," but then I liked the way Ari broke it down. Though then I was like, "Okay, let me I like it. So it all kind of makes sense. And I think that's a point too, where I feel like, again, like men just need to not react, but just listen, because I was ready to just say, are you fucking kidding me? But, but I love the way Ari broke it down. Because, oh my God. I think, oh yeah, Smitty. So I read this book. It's called Hammer and Hoe, and it's about the black communists in Alabama, right? And I also read like Dr. CBS. I think she's a great author. She about Black Scare, Red Scare, and black women organizing. Smitty, it talked about a great point of like even like the black communist men, the men in Alabama, Smitty, when they were organizing, they didn't even include black women in the struggle, right? They did not. It was very little inclusion. And they view women as playing a certain role, a lesser role, and not at the center of like these movements, right? During like during the Great Depression, right after, crushing the Reconstruction. Here's Jim Crow. So I was ready to react, but then it brought me to a point where like, yeah, like even like back then, even the men of so-called who are on like, fighting against injustice, organizing, they still themselves oppress women, black women, right? They didn't include them or view them as a certain role. And then you think about it, during that time, it was black women who were at the center front of those labor organizing movements. Especially, so I was ready to react, but then it pointed me out, like, even on the civil rights movement, Smitty, it's not even talked about how women were at the center of the movement, right? We think of, all the men, Kwame Stokely Carmichaels of the world, Malcolm X, MLK, right? But it's hardly ever talked about the Ella Bakers of the world, right? Who are leading the center of those movements. And even like they acknowledge that. So it goes to a point of like, yeah, like even you can still be fighting against the system, but you can still you're still oppressing women, black women at the same time, not giving them that voice, not giving them, allowing them that space. So I was ready to react, but then a light bulb clicked in my head, and like how there's so many occasions, even from back then until now, where like men who are so-called on the progressive side still were view women as less than or have them play a certain limited role in these movements. So I was about to say, hold on, you tripping, fam, but I'm working on myself, the emotional maturity to like listen and understand, like, yeah, like that's true though. I have to agree, even though as much as I don't like it, but it's true though. But then I'm done. Sorry.
All right. Let's go Swan, Ari, and then we'll get the new panelists in, J.E., DeMarcus, and Callie. Actually, we'll probably skip the order since it's Mother's Day. We'll go Swan, Ari, Callie, DeMarcus, J.E.'s.
Yeah, one thing I meant to bring... Oh,
I'm so sorry, Swan. I'm so sorry. Real quick, I just could not resist this. And for the black people on the panel, I think Quasera 373 says that this is a conversation for the BIPOC community. I just wanted to get y'all's, as we're talking about this, y'all's thoughts on that. I thought that was very interesting. We started to talk about, things that pertain to the black community. There's always a conversation of whether or not we should be having that as the black community in a public space like that. I'm not agreeing or disagreeing. I just thought it was interesting. It popped up. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Swan, go ahead.
yeah, Smitty, I thought your question was, are black men the white men of the community? And I was like, because there's like a dynamic there.
My question was a little different. It was the white people, and then Jazzy put the white women. So
okay, yeah. No, that I do agree with. Just in terms of like a lot of it, more so to what Ari had said, but Ari took it deeper, which I appreciate. Y'all better run their gifts up, because that was a lot of knowledge that was given to all of us. Because I never even thought about that or considered that, but I definitely understood it, like, and agreed. And talking about like black men, the white woman is seen as a trophy to them, right? Which I think is really interesting. But the other thing I wanted to say, though, is I wanted to say this earlier. Does the United States value women? No, it does not. I just want people to know that during the hearing that RFK had, he was asked multiple times by different representatives, what are we doing about the maternal mortality rate for women, but more specifically for black women? And his response was, We have introduced a perinatal program at 220 hospitals, and we have seen a decrease in the maternal mortality rate by 42%. Now, this administration is the most incompetent administration I've ever witnessed. The most incompetent that I've ever witnessed. And we know that's just malarkey. We know it hasn't gone down by 40%. The problem, or 42%. The problem is, though, when I went to the White House website, I did not see any information in his Make America Healthy Again program or like pamphlet, whatever it is. I didn't see anything about a perinatal program. I want people to be aware of the fact that the institutions that would track this thoroughly, their funding has been cut. So we are going to see an increase in those numbers. I also want people to be aware of the fact that, for example, like doulas, right, with the overturning of Roe v. Wade, a lot of them are afraid to go into work because they are afraid that they could end up being committed, or, they could be committing a crime, depending on what state they're in, depending on the circumstances. I've read some information about them being afraid of doing the work that they were doing before because Roe v. Wade was overturned. And I think that's been a concern for a lot longer. But I do want people to know and understand. Now, there is, I believe, the governor of Illinois introduced legislation. I don't know if it's been passed yet about the maternal mortality rates and understanding the importance of making sure you're checking everything when it comes to a woman, more specifically a Black woman, when they go in to give birth. But I do want everyone to know that that information is not being tracked properly, and I cannot find any evidence of a perinatal program that has been implemented within these hospitals that is actually, where they're putting things in motion to decrease the maternal mortality rate. And if these things can't be tracked, then they may become more careless. So I just wanted to make sure everybody knew and understand that. But that's it.
No, thank you, Swan. I appreciate that. Yeah, no, that's absolutely. I'm glad you touched on that. Let me go to Ari, and then we'll go to we'll go to Callie, DeMarcus, and then J.E.'s, and then we'll see where we are with time. Thank you guys so much. I'm telling you, this discussion has been very, very interesting, to say the least. Ari, your thoughts?
Yeah, really quick, I want to highlight everything Swan's saying, because when something happens, right, like specifically, I'm speaking towards Black women, right? When something happens, it hits Black women 20-fold, right? It always hits Black women 20-fold. So to everything Swan's saying, like, Uber needs to be highlighted, especially as we're talking about things being overturned, how the current status of the country is. Everything hits women, Black women specifically, way worse. But to what Nichelle is saying, I think that's actually an important conversation to have about, like, because I know some people say, like, we shouldn't have conversations in, like, certain spaces, right? Or depending. For me, I think that's also sometimes what serves to be the problem, right? Because not all Black people are privy to the spaces we're having conversations in. Right? They don't have access to those spaces. And I've even had, and this is why I always get iffy with those type of, when we start saying those things, because I've had Black men come to me and say, shh, don't say the 40% of Black women have experienced DV. Why not? Why not say that? You want me to cover up the harm that you're doing so you're not accountable. Because listen, I'm Black. Right? I'm Black as hell. And I recognize that, but I'm also a woman. Right? So I'm not going to sit here because you're a Black man and cover up the harm that you're doing onto us. Right? And so I think Black men depend on us doing that. Right? They depend on us keeping these conversations in silos so we don't have to say out loud to everyone, yes, we're Black and we receive racial harm, but you're still a man and you are harming us and you need to be held accountable to us. Right? And so that's why I always get iffy when people are like, oh, we need to have this in closed door spaces, right? I'm like, but the men who are harming us are dependent on us keeping this closed doors, right? Shh, 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 guys, we have to fight racism first. Shh, 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 shh. As I'm getting my behind beat between the washer and dryer, I let's keep it honest. During the civil rights movement, yes, racism was really important and needed to be addressed, but Black women were still getting their behinds beat during that. They were still getting their behinds beat during that. And Black men during that time were so were pivotal to the silencing of Black women during that thing, because race first. That's why I get cringed out when I hear race first, because that means you get away with the continued abuse of Black women. And I will not stand for that. So I very proudly and out loudly say, yes, 40% of Black women experience DV. And that's not a thing I should be embarrassed about as a Black woman. You should be embarrassed about that as a Black man. If you don't want me saying that out loud, do something about it. Because for me, all I see is that all Black men want to be, and this is why I agree, Black men are the white women of the Black community, because white women just want to be white men, and so do Black men. And so all you do when you say that is that you don't want to be any different than white men. You just want to look better than white men. You don't actually want to be different. You want to look better. And so actually doing the things to be better than white men would actually be holding yourselves accountable for that 40% statistic. But you don't. You just want to look better than white men.
The collection plate.
Ari, listen, you got to spoon feed it to us, sis. Honey, it's just too much. I'm over here shouting like I'm at a Pentecostal revival. My goodness. So true. And by the way, if people don't know, if you are in the comment section and you don't understand kind of what Ari is talking about from a social point of view, I literally put it in the chat. That was literally my entire childhood. You keep it quiet. Okay. How many times Black folks tell me, opine in the comments, have you been told by a parent? We keep that in house, right? We don't talk about that outside of the house. We don't have those kind of conversations outside of the house. Okay. That was just super triggering in a good way to kind of rip that Band-Aid off, Ari, because that's an important thing that is culturally us as Black people. We keep it quiet.
All right. Thank you, Nichelle. Let's go to DeMarcus and we'll go to J.E.'s. DeMarcus, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with everything that's been said. I think that a lot of Black men, or I'll say all Black men, we are indoctrinated into a system that tells us that we should trade leadership and accountability for white masculinity. And I say white masculinity in a certain way because I'm talking about white American and the idea of masculinity and how it's basically amorphous and has changed decade to decade. I mean, remember back in the 80s and the 70s, men were wearing cut off shorts and putting product in their hair. Now that's seen as, part of the rainbow community or whatever. Like, these categorizations of what masculinity are and the power that comes with that is the reason why they're willing to sell Black women in particular up the river, because they think that is actual leadership and dominance and gives them some type of social power that they can actually exercise on when they're actually being submissive to white men in power. And a lot of the times it takes so many levels of deconstruction and it's never over. I think is this where it's like once you cross this line, the work is over. It's continuous. Like daily, I have to remind myself that I'm a part of the system, regardless of how helpful I try to be. I still have to continuously work on that and vocalize it and actually exercise it, because the moment I stop, I become a part of the system again. Because I am a part of the system. That it is what it is. I think people think it's like because they have a family or because they exert certain physical or social characteristics that put them in a certain category that the work is over or they have achieved something that's actually keeping people safe. At the end of the day, Black women are always put in a position to where they have to be infantized, but also leaders in the same breath. And it's kind of disingenuous to not understand socially why we put them in that situation. Yes, and it's an indoctrination of white supremacy, but it's also because of the social structures that we are born into and that we have to literally, deliberately try to change and stop. Because if we don't do it as a collective, if we're still saying things like locker room talk is normal, then we're never really addressing the actual issue, which is how we, as much as we want to say we're helpful, as much as we want to say we're good men, always have a continual daily by minute battle on fixing that issue until it's stopped, because it should not be women or Black women's responsibility to fix that structure. A lot of this is social. And while we do have legislations and things that compound that, it does come back to the home. It comes back to the community. It comes back to the block you live on, the people that you interact with, and how you enable certain behaviors just by staying silent on the subject. So that's pretty much where we are right now.
Yeah, no, that's deep. That's deep. All right, J.E.'s, your thoughts?
Good brother Smitty, I hope you're well. So there's a lot of education in here today, man, and I'm thankful for being in here. The prompt itself, does the United States value women? No, and there have been examples, of course, over time, even in fights for liberation, if you will, that have shown that even within those organizations, they didn't value women. One of the people spoke earlier, Jermaine, if I'm not mistaken, talked about hammering hoes that was taking aim at what was happening here in Alabama with the Communist Party. But even in Alabama, another party that started, that was the origin of the Black Panther Party right there in, Lowndes County. When we look at how the Black Panther Party, part of the reason why it was falling is because of how it was treating the women who were fighting for the same liberation that they thought that the black men were fighting for. That's just even within our community itself. But I think if a society truly values women, you can see it in policies. You can see it in culture. You can see it in safety. And I think those opportunities, from the opportunities it creates for them, you will be able to see that. And honestly, when I look at America, I see a country that praises women sometimes symbolically, but very often fail them materially. Right? I think women, I think women in this society, in this country, are expected to raise families, to hold communities together, to work full time, to survive while also ignoring the harassment. I don't know how that works. And also navigate the sort of unequal treatment that they still see. I even think about the black community itself, where black women are leading in every category in the black American community that matters, yet on average are still earning less than black men. Not by a whole lot. It is that gap has closed a bit, but on average still earning less, and that doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't.
Okay.
I think the other thing, and I'll close with this. America celebrates women in speeches and commercials and holidays such as this one. But actually valuing women, I think it means more than this fake admiration. I think it means protection. I think it means actual fairness. I think it means the economic support that is necessary. I also think it means bodily autonomy. Because my God, what we're seeing right now is ugly. I seen a lady literally on her hospital bed having to talk to a judge about what she wanted to be done with her body and the baby that she was minutes away from delivering. And I was like, how dystopian is this? And I think listening to women, even when what they're saying is uncomfortable, I'm looking at you, my fellow Black American brothers. I think there's still a major gap, unfortunately, between seeing and saying women matter and building a society than consistently proving it, unfortunately.
All right. Thank you, J.E.'s. I appreciate you.
Oh, Smitty. I'm sorry. That background music was good. It was very comforting.
Too cool. I said, man, well, I thought I was doing something, and then J.E.'s got his own theme music. I said, boy, I got a long way to go. But I appreciate it, J.E.'s. Definitely. Let me go to Rafa. But before I do, there was this conversation I had with this guy. And in the span of 5 minutes, he was he was pointing out something that someone from another race did with black people. And he was like, yeah, see, this is how they disrespect us, Smitty, da, right? And then we got into the subject of misogyny, and he was like, well, but if I did that to a woman, it'd be way worse than if a woman did it to a man. I'm like, dude, you sounded just like a white person right there. Like, and so the point of the women on the panel is very well heard, right? It's very well heard because we will flip. We all of us have done it, right? And I always say, especially about locker room talk, Lord, if y'all knew how bad locker room talk really is, your worst fears can't even get close. As men, we know what and y'all know as men, we know what we're talking about. Think about how bad you really think it is and multiply it times about 1,000, in my opinion. Rafa, your thoughts?
Hey, Smitty. The elder was taking a nap. I saw you live earlier, but I went and took a nap. I'm back. But listen, I know that Swan and Jermaine wanted to say something really important. May I kindly please go after them? Is that okay? Yes. Thank you.
No, you go. Rafa,
Let's go to Swan.
No, let Swan and you go. You go. I'm waiting. I'll remember.
Swan, you want to go? So you can go. I can go after you.
The only thing I was gonna add was when Ari said that black men see white women as a trophy. That was very interesting because these systems where there's a power dynamic, the one that's in power is robbed of their ability to see humanity opposite them, right? And I think a lot of times you don't realize that when you've been robbed of your ability to see the humanity in other people, you also are robbed to see that in yourself. And sometimes that just leaves you in a place of being so unaware of the impact that you have onto other people. It just made me think about that I think that definitely happens with men and women and representing people as well. That power dynamic. They don't necessarily see us as human. I know we're no longer, but yeah, I just wanted to add that in. That's it.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Swan. I appreciate it. Jermaine, what are you going to add? And then we'll go to Rafa. Hopefully she still has it on her mind.
Oh, Smitty. No, I think this has been like a great live, a great discussion. Honestly, I felt uncomfortable, but not in a bad way, and that was mainly because of what like Jazzy said, but also just more so the way like Ari articulated it. Because I heard that phrase before, Smitty, but I never heard of like the breakdown of why. And that was more so the thing of me. I needed like to break the breakdown of like why are, black men like example. It's Smitty, I guess to you, as a black man who've as you navigating like this, was for me, my question to you is like, was there a point in your life, was there like a moment where you kind of say, hey, maybe I need to look in the mirror, or was it just like something that you just learned or you kind of did as you got older? Was there like a moment or like what for you?
Yeah, I think I don't know if it was a moment. But it was definitely a realization that I was listening again. I would value the opinions of men on everything, including women, over women. And I think I realized that one day. I don't know. I can't tell you exactly when it happened. Realize, man, because even before that moment, I always kind of like, oh yeah, I'm one of these good guys, right? If you would have told me back then it's all men, I'd have had a dang,
me too.
I'd lost my mind, right? Lost my mind, right? Oh no, what are you talking about? But then I just started realizing again, like you said, right? Like we talked about on this panel, how much even the quote unquote good guys, contribute. And even more so than contribute, right? It's like this how I say it, right? When you and I, Jermaine, right? We probably could never imagine in our time where we would coddle a racist. Never, right? We would never, if you go through our whole lives, right? We would never coddle a racist. But have we coddled misogynists? I know I have. I know I have. Right? And so it was like realizing all of those things. I was like, yeah, you know what? I got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, because Smitty, I that's a good point because you're right. I think men, especially black men, you're a lot of them are quick to check a racist. Real quick, right?
Oh, absolutely,
Me,
100%.
Smitty, I check a racist so quick. But like you said, but when it comes to like misogyny, or whether it comes to sexualization, black men tend to not do that. They don't quit to check it. You know what I'm saying? Actually, they
We'll
allow
protect
it.
them.
Yeah,
We'll
they
protect
protect
them.
them.
We'll make
They coddle,
excuses.
or they become like a
I've done it.
pacifist. A pacifist. I think that's the word too. There's a lot of pacifism on black men when it comes to black women, right? And the black women struggle, right? And I think that's a huge problem. And again, like a lot of it is rooted in like a racial capitalism, white supremacy. But again, like at the end of the day, you have the choice. You have a choice. We have a choice. Us black men, we have a choice. Check it, correct it. Or it's complicit, because complicity comes in all different forms, right?
Yep.
So yes, man, I wanted
100%.
like your perspective, like I know as someone, as the elder, but as someone I do look up to, and I think I feel like you definitely made more impact on me too, not just me deconstructing myself, but how you even allow this space, and you also quick to drop a misogyny, drop whoever, any kind of man, any kind of comment. Your zero tolerance, I love it, and this media is really bare minimum, really.
It is.
But yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go on, but yeah.
No, you good, fam. No, I appreciate the question, man. Let me go. Hey, Rima, I'm gonna let Nichelle go. Hang on to that thought a little bit longer. Hang on to that thought.
Please do.
If you don't mind, Rima, because this really kind of struck me. I put this in the chat. It's because you all see us the same way white people do, right? The stereotype of the strong black woman, right? We can't be harmed. We're strong. We're literally the backbone of every movement. Okay. We're the backbone of the family. We're the backbone of the community. The number of black men that I saw trash Jasmine Crockett, trash Kamala Harris, okay? Called them everything but a child of God. Melanated hand can. But that's what they think, right? They don't give us pain meds when we come in because they think that somehow or another, even though biologically we're all the same, right? Somehow we can handle the pain more. And so for me, it seems like black men look at black women the same way. All right. There's not enough women, and them tears pop up now. Okay. Whole different response.
Yep.
But I just wanted to point that out when the discussion that you and Jermaine were having. The other thing I'll say is too, just as a point of just some feedback, like I've literally seen it on this app where, men will say, I'm not saying here, I'm saying on different lives that'll pop in, they'll say, oh, we can't say that on the app. But if we was boys, you know what I'm saying? If we was hanging out, that'd be different. But we can't say that here on the app. Right? I think a lot of stuff is internalized. I think, and I appreciate so much. I really want to say this. I appreciate so much the men that are doing the work, that are actively doing the work to deconstruct from those. I think that misogyny and racism, I still don't think that intersectionality has been talked about enough. Right? Because the state, all we have to do is pop out, and we're not talking about misogyny, we're talking about racism. It sounds the same, right? Falling into these stereotypes, falling into these narratives, and a lot of us don't even know we're doing it, right?
Yeah,
but they're
absolutely.
so intertwined. They are so incredibly intertwined. I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, listen, even for me, right? You learn very harmful things, and going back to what I was saying to Jermaine, right? There wasn't a moment outside of my life on this app that, was a turning point, but there was a moment on this app that was a big turning point for me, where a black woman gave me incredible grace, where I, which was Callie. Callie gave me some grace. There was a time when she was on the panel and I was on the panel, and this white man was saying some horrific shit, and I did not do anywhere near enough or say anywhere near enough to protect her and to stand up for her like I should have. And if it weren't for her grace, I would. This live wouldn't be happening. I'm telling you right now, I probably wouldn't even be a content creator, because that happened very early on. And I told myself, to myself, that I would never, ever in my life let that happen again. And so, to that point of like making sure that we don't make the same mistakes. Like if we're really about that life, then we're not going to make the same mistakes. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to make the same mistakes, and we're going to be about it, forever. And so, the reason I bring it up, one, is to give Callie her well-deserved flowers. And then two, again, we just got to be about it, right? I mean, I try, right? But again, I know, I'll probably make another mistake or whatever it may be, but I'm definitely not going to make the damn same one, right? And that to me is where I get frustrated with a lot of people on this app, a lot of male content creators, for making the same mistake over and over. There's no excuse to make the same mistake. You know what I mean? And so, and I see you, Jermaine, putting in the work too, man. So you deserve your well-earned respect on this app too. But if I don't go to Rima now, I know she's going to tear me up in the comments. So,
I'm not.
Rima, go
No,
ahead.
I'm not. And I think, I don't know. I know this, I don't mean to be rude. I know Ari wanted to say something. If it's okay with Ari for me to go. I mean, okay. Thank you so much. No, I'm not gonna tear. I'm just sitting here. I'm really here for the vibes. And I mean it. I mean it. Just being up here and in the company of all these beautiful people, beautiful women specifically, who have, I don't know, they're kind of just mentally, just being able to come in and scroll and see you live, Smitty, and see, just for us to know that, hey, we're not alone and we're not crazy. There's what's happening is really happening. No, the United States does not value women at all, and that includes YT women. I think YT women, if they're not implementing the same harm to people of color, I think that's the way that they kind of, protect themselves from the system, aka what Nichelle was speaking about the tears and them receiving the utmost when it comes to service or medical care. And when we're talking about that, we're specifically talking about a certain group, even people that they would consider less than, the Celts and so on, or those who are considered from an impoverished area, do not receive the same type of help and respect that the Anglo-Saxons do. But so no, as a English colony, the United States of America, being a European English colony, does not value women at all. And if you are a woman of color, any color, brown, if you're Asian, if you are a Black woman, especially Black women, and I saw a few Puerto Rican flags, I think in Swan's profile, I saw, I think, another in Ari's. A lot of people don't know this about Puerto Rico. I'm sure the ladies down here do, but they actually use Puerto Rico as a place for them to not only did they test all of the psych medications that are used, they tested them in Puerto Rico, just things for certain conditions, health conditions, and they weren't approved by the FDA, which is why they tested them in Puerto Rico on Puerto Rican women. Not only did they do that, but they also tested a sterilization on Puerto Rican women, and this is something that is not spoken about at all. All modern European, in quotation marks, European gynecological studies that have been done, and this is for people who don't know, this is not for those who do, have all been tested specifically on Black women, with no anesthesia, again, because of this ideology, again, stemming from Europe, specifically European men and European women upholding that there was no pain that was felt, which is absolutely vile. while all other countries like Asia, West Asia, Africa had all reached to their level of civilization when it came to gynecological issues, and for example, doulas who were giving birth to children. We all had that science and that civilization, but we always have to do things the stale European way. The same Europeans that said that babies should be left in their cribs to cry, and not given any type of kindness. But anyway, I just wanted to say that is kind of what America's all about. Nothing more but a very cold and stale, seasonless European Anglo-Saxon colony. But the people within it is what makes it wonderful, and especially in these times. But as an organization, as a government, as a place, no respect for women at all. That's what I wanted to say. Oh, and by the way, please, happy Mama's Day, beautiful mothers. If you aren't a mother, happy Mama's Day to your mother. Please don't forget the mothers in Palestine. Please don't forget the mothers in Sudan, the mothers in Congo, the mothers in Tigre, the mothers in Haiti, and the mothers in America, the mothers who have children who are taken away by frozen water, the mothers who are watching their babies be unalived by, again, Anglo-Saxon pigs. Thank you, Smitty. That's what the elder has to say. I'm not raising my cortisol levels today. This is the one and only live I'm coming to. I love you, Smitty. I love everybody
Love you,
on this
fam.
panel. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Love you, fam. As Rima's heard me say this many times. Swan, I'm gonna come to you, and then probably Ari and Nichelle. That I gotta go, but I'll never forget it. This is probably about a year and a half ago, and there was a Palestinian mother that was speaking, and they were asking her about the Israeli conflict or their boy G-side. And she said, you know what? She said, us Palestinian mothers, we raise our children not to hate, but to endure. I said, oh my gosh, I could imagine my mom saying the same thing about Black mothers, because the narrative that has been spun about Palestinians is the same narrative that it has been spun around Black people, inherently violent, blah, 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 right? All that nonsense. And I could see my mom saying the exact same thing. We teach our children to endure, not to hate. I said, woo. And so we have an opportunity to learn from all marginalized mothers. That obviously we want to end that marginalization. But I love what you said about the different mothers and keeping them in your heart. I love that. All right. Swan, Ari, and then Nichelle. We might be on time. We'll see if we can squeeze a couple more comments out.
Yes. Sorry, I just wanted to make an announcement. I have a huge fundraising event coming up with Elmo. If you guys know who Elmo is, I'm really happy about this because y'all know I do mutual aid globally and locally, and usually we kind of fix it on like one thing at a time. So what it is, it's a 4-day event. So the first day is going to start the 14th, and I'm hoping people with big platforms are able to come through and assist if you can.
What day is this?
I'll
The
put the
14th?
details. Yep, the first day is the 14th. So we'll be assisting Sudan. 25K is going to be going to, 2.5K is going to be going to Ali for travel. He is walking from London all the way to Sudan to raise awareness, about what's happening in Sudan. So we're going to assist him, and the money is going to be going towards assisting people in Sudan. Then there's also the 15th that's going to be dedicated to the Congo, where we are looking to gather 2.5K there for 5 goats and to get a water tank. And then on the 16th we have Palestine. For Palestine, we are looking to get the same amount, 2.5K is going to help feed 50 families. And then the last day is going to be for Eritrean refugees in Libya, more specifically Semhar. Some of y'all know, y'all have seen Semhar on my panel before. She's on Erica's panel. Covey's also had her on her panel as well. Semhar is from Eritrea, but is stuck in Libya right now, where there's an active slave trade happening. It's her and her daughter. You cannot get out. It's really bad. A lot of people don't know like the extent of what is happening there, and there is no humanitarian aid. It is often rejected. So we're going to be assisting her on the 4th day. which is going to be the 17th. That's on Sunday. It's all going to start at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but please make sure you guys give me a follow. I'm going to be posting it in my story every single day, just so you guys are aware of it. But yes, the first day is the 14th, and it'll go consecutively all the way until the 17th, Sunday the 17th. That'll be the last day, but I just wanted to make sure you're aware. And if you have a large platform and you are willing to assist, send me a DM. We could use the assistance and, getting more people and more of an audience in so that people are able to assist us with reaching these goals. But yeah, that's all I want to say.
Thank you, Swan. I appreciate that. Okay. All right. Let me go to Ari, and then we'll go to Nichelle. I love, but just real quick, again, please, when y'all make your decisions as to platforms and stuff like that, the platforms that are out there like Swans, and I'm sure many others on this panel that are doing the work, actively raising money, I just hope y'all have a special place of love for them. That's so important. All right, let me go to Ari, and then we'll go to Nichelle. So we'll see if we can squeeze a couple more comments out.
Thank you. First things first, I want to say, Wepa. Gracias por todo, mi gente. Very much for mentioning us. Absolutely. Yes. I'm always, if you guys don't know by now and you haven't seen before, I'm full of book recommendations all the time. I don't just say the things I say out of just feelings and vibes. I read them in books. I'm a book lady. What can I say? So if you guys want more information on like how 1/3 of Puerto Rican women, the fact that I'm here is a testament to Puerto Rican women's resilience, right? The fact that I'm born, I'm here, my family made it. We are a testament to the Puerto Rican women's resilience. And if you want more information on Puerto Ricans and resistance movements, because a lot of people do not know, Puerto Ricans have had their own Malcolm X, Pedro Albizu Campos. Say his name. He was an Afro-Puerto Rican who fought the United States military on Puerto Rican soil during the Civil Rights Movement. That was happening simultaneously, right? My grandmother can tell you about the Ponce Massacre. She was there. Right? Read War Against All Puerto Ricans. It talks about how we were tested in terms of sterilization, 1/3 of Puerto Rican women, how we had cancer tested on us, right? And that the doctor who did it actually was awarded military status. He was given an award for biological warfare. So they value that, right? White supremacy. The book I mentioned earlier, Black on Both Sides, a racial identity on trans identity. Oh, sorry, a racial history on trans identity. I apologize. That talks about how gynecology came to play. It gives a very in-depth analysis on how the field of gynecology is rooted in Black karma women's bodies, but also how that feeds into transphobia later, right? So look at that book. Also, another book called Shifting, and that's Shifting is called The Double Lives of Black Women. If you guys want to look at, again, how Black women are treated and what Swan said earlier about servitude, it talks a lot about that. But the last book I wanted to mention, especially when people are talking about, I ran out of time. I have one more book. Okay.
Go ahead. Get the last book in. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The last book, it talks about, because people are like, I don't like why we are dehumanized. Shocker, capitalism. So Why Women Have Better Sex Under Socialism is a great book that talks about how men under capitalism have no incentive to humanize women, right? Because of the gender wage gap, which has been acknowledged here, women are forced in proximity to men for survival. So they have no incentive to humanize you. They have no incentive to treat you well, right? And so it breaks it down. And how even in the institution of marriage under capitalism is almost akin to sex work, especially if you're a stay-at-home mother, right? So look into those books. They really give you a deep dive into why these things exist.
Wow. Qué impresionante. All right, let me go to Nichelle. I was going to speak a little bit more in Spanish, but since Rima is not paying attention, I don't see them Spanish lives anymore, fam. You still
Estoy prestando atención, sí, como no, sí, te estoy prestando y sí, todavía I go and I speak. I love you, Ari, crush over here, but I'm on mute. I'm gonna be quiet.
Rima, ¿cuáles son los idiomas que hablas?
Hablo inglés, árabe, claro, es my mother tongue. Hablo español y también hablo, es un idioma que, bueno, ellos lo clasifican como un idioma, se llama Darija. Y esa es parte de lo hablan la gente de Marruecos, Algeria, Tunisia, Mauritania, Libia. Es un mixlo dentro español, francés, shelha y árabe. Pues lo clasifica como su propio idioma o su propia lengua. And I'm working on French. Okay, my head is blown
You got me beat. You got me beat. All right. Wow. That's incredible. That's incredible. Hey, I can't help it, Jermaine. Let Jermaine hate in the comments. All right, let me go to Michelle. Go ahead, fam.
Go ahead on and speak that Spanish, fam. I'll give you a moment.
No, you go ahead. Sigue adelante, hermana. Sigue adelante. Go ahead.
This whole conversation, I don't know. I'm feeling a little sad, almost little sad. Just the labor of the amazing Black and brown women today, educating, upholding, clarifying, and doing all the things that we do. It I don't know, it just does something to me. I don't know if it's because it's Mother's Day. I don't know if it's because I'm a Black woman myself. But I hope the people in the chat do those deep dives. I hope, especially if you say that you get it, that you understand it about the value of women. Show up and show out, right? I'm always about the call to action, right? It is so easy to sit here on a nice, comfortable, sunny Sunday, wherever you are, and listen to all the amazing panelists and things of that nature. It's another thing to get out there and actually put the action to it. So that means at least 218 people that are still here should show up at Swan's events, right? Because, we do support and value women, right? Or no, we don't. Oh, it was just okay to leave a chat, a little sentence, a little something. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's amazing to me how many amazing content creators we have on this app. And yet you'll have white tea men, white tea women, or men just in general, who will have thousands of people in their comment sections and in their lives. But you barely get a couple hundred in some of these women's lives. And yet they're doing 10 times the labor in terms of educating and informing and doing all the things. It breaks my heart. So at the bare minimum, and it's sad that we have to do the bare minimum, but something is just so uniquely amazing about Black women. And I say to God all the time, if there is multiple lives, let me be a Black woman in every lifetime. We are just so amazing. There's just something special about it. And the labor, the work that we do, the load that we have to carry, it kind of makes me sad, Smitty. It does. We're going to do it because that's who we are. But there's a sadness to it too. We can't afford to be lackadaisical. We just can't. We can't. It's at least for the history of this country. My gosh. I mean, we've raised children, white tea children. We've cleaned those houses. We've educated. We've done all the things, and we never get the recognition. Never get the recognition. So I'm hoping that what is taken out of this today, that we've all learned something, that we all have a deeper appreciation for women, and that you are going to show up and show out in your support.
It's going to be 7 p.m., somewhere around there. But yeah.
Okay.
2 p.m., yep.
Got you.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Y'all stay safe.
Yes, everybody take care.
Okay. Bye.
Many guys at bars when I was single. You're hot.